Hey there, Joey here. Sorry for the wet head. It is dark 30 and I am heading out to hit the trail, heading up to Unicoi Gap to meet a couple of friends, and we are going to go hike from Neels Gap to Unicoi Gap. So it should be a great weekend. The weather is turning to fall here in Georgia. Feels great. And I know it's a little dark, but there's my pack all packed up and ready to go. I'm at a 25-pound weight with food and water, 18 without. I'm feeling really good about the trip. I'm gonna shoot some video from the trail and share with you my experience, and hope you enjoy. Take care. So that was our hike for last weekend, and as you can see, it was really pretty, although it was kind of disappointing to see so many blowdowns from Hurricane Irma, but overall we had a great weekend. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it was a shakedown hike, so I did learn some really valuable lessons that I want to share with you. So first of all was hiking pace. I'm relatively new to backpacking, and even though I've been doing boot camp about 3 days a week for a year, I learned very quickly that I don't have the cardio conditioning that my friends did. They're out hiking, backpacking much more often than I am. And as soon as we got started, I felt like I was playing catch up a little bit, trying to keep pace with them. I also, to keep up with that, I found I was sweating epically and I needed to drink a lot of water, but the new pack I have, the Granite Gear Crown 2, I love. And one of the things I like is the high pockets on the side so that things don't fall out, but it made it somewhat difficult for me to reach my water bottles, actually kind of impossible for me to reach my water bottles. And I had decided for this hike to switch from my bladder to the smart water bottles so that I could lighten my load a little bit. The bladder was several ounces heavier than 2 of these bottles, and I took one liter bottle, and this one I think is 750 milliliters. So I couldn't reach them. And I couldn't drink without either stopping to take off my pack or having one of my friends give me my bottle. So making sure that I was well hydrated was a little bit of a challenge. I also discovered that I need to eat more often on the trail. Typically I have a few snacks in my pockets and I kind of nibble as I go. If I stop to take in a view, I'll snack on something. But we didn't stop for lunch. And that was fine for my friends because they're conditioned to that. But for me, I really needed that meal. I needed the protein, and I didn't get it. So by early afternoon, we had come into Unicoi Gap, and you saw my first trail magic, the water that was there, which was awesome. But we started back up the hill. My foot was bothering me, the one that I broke. I've still got some tendon issues there. So I stopped to treat that a little bit. And when I got up to get going again, I almost wiped out. I mean, I literally was just ready to lay down on the trail and cry because I was feeling so bad. And I got some water in me, had an electrolyte chew and a little bit of food, and I did better. But it made the whole second half of Saturday really difficult. And we did almost 12 miles. So for me, that was a pretty long day. And lesson learned on Sunday, I made sure that I got enough water, that I ate a good breakfast. And when it was time for lunch, I asked my friends, I said, I need to stop for lunch. You can go on if you want. But they decided to stop with me, had a nice little 10-minute break. And that was all I needed to keep going for the rest of the day. So that's really, to me, a safety issue. So I should have been listening to my body a little bit more, but learned the lesson and hopefully will not repeat it. Something else that I learned when I got to camp, and I think by that point I had hiker brain a little bit. I was having trouble remembering my own name at that point. I was so tired, and it was late in the day because we didn't start till about 10 in the morning. I got my tent set up right away. Thankfully, my friend Sandy cooked dinner for us, which was a real blessing, and I had to go and filter some water. Now, I use the Sawyer Squeeze filter, and it's been a little bit because I had a good month off healing my foot, actually 2 months between backpacking trips, and so this wasn't working. And I even asked one of the thru-hikers there what was the problem was, because they use the Sawyer as well, and she couldn't figure it out. And so I had to borrow a filter to get my water filtered. And that really surprised me because this is a relatively new filter. And I thought, my goodness, if I was by myself, I could be in trouble. I had some Aquamira tablets, so I did have a backup way to filter water, but I didn't realize until I got home that the reason the filter wasn't working is that it had dried out. And of course, the thru-hiker who uses her filter every day wouldn't have that problem, but because mine had been in the closet for a couple of months, it dried out completely, and I had not given it enough time to moisten so that the filter would work appropriately. So something to keep in mind if you're not hiking often and you want your filter to be ready for you, pre-moisten it before you go. A couple other things, I was wearing my Saucony's. These are the Peregrine 6, and they have been great for me. I've been wearing them on hikes recently and really enjoyed them. Didn't know how my feet would do on a longer hike, and they were great. I wore my Injinji sock liners with the toes and smart wool socks, and I had no problems other than my pinky toes hurting a little bit. So those shoes are great, and I think that's probably what I'm going to start my thru hike with. Another challenge that we discovered was maps. Each of us on the trip, myself, Sandy, and Michelle, were using different maps, and we all had different distances, and so that was a little bit confusing. I was actually using the anti-gravity gear maps, which are little teeny tiny things. For me, they were hard to read, unfortunately, and I didn't take my map book from National Geographic, which has got a lot of great information in it, some very nice topographic maps, as you can see, but it's not the format that I like. With all the blowdowns, it was really important to have a map and have a way to be able to navigate, because although we didn't get lost as we were going around some of the trees, I did hear from another hiker that she got lost several times in the same area on the same day because she had to go off trail to get around some of these blowdowns and got kind of turned around and wasn't sure exactly where she was. So having maps and a compass is something I will definitely do on the AT when I do my thru hike, even though it's a little bit of extra weight. It's definitely going to be in my kit for safety. One other thing I learned in camp was that my little DIY windscreen was useless. Unfortunately, when I designed it, I didn't measure properly, and I was hoping that I could take 2 pieces of aluminum foil from a cheap dollar store cookie sheet and stack them when I got into camp so that the windscreen would be a little bit smaller. But it was so windy where we were at Low Gap that it wouldn't even stand up, and so basically I had no windscreen to help with my cooking when I was trying to make breakfast. And I'm going to redo that with a larger piece of metal, and I think that will work out very well. One of the thru-hikers I was talking to said that she had a piece of metal tubing like you use for AC ducts and had that cut down and sanded on the edges, and that made a good windscreen too. So I'll share that when I get to that project, but definitely was excited to share this hike with you. Overall, it was a great experience, learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to a couple of other hikes that I have coming up in the next few weeks, and I'll share those with you as well and let you know how everything goes. So thanks again for watching. I hope you'll follow me on Instagram at Joyful Rambler or Twitter, Joyful Rambler as well. And subscribe to the video if you haven't already. And I hope to see you on the trail. Take care.